Did you ever try to change something in your life where you wanted to be better or do better? And you tried all kinds of things. You tried New Year's resolutions. You tried changing your habits. You've tried, what do people say sometimes? 21 days to change this or that, or your thinking, or how many times it takes it to instill a new idea. You have to say it or do it or practice it for a certain number of times, and then magically the wand swishes around, and you are changed, and you have become a wonderful new person. We all would love to find that kind of change. But I'm here today to share with you a way, a systematic way that there can be real change in our lives. And I think the whole world, it's out there. The way to do this, the way to make it happen is it exists. But many times we are, what would you say, too busy, too preoccupied. We miss it somehow. And there comes a time in our life, a point, a specific time in our life when we've just got to stop and we've just got to find the way for real change. So I bring to you our 10 session or 30-day, it depends on how you'd like to do it, plan, grow. What do they say? Grow in, don't just wait. You can't lead if you don't grow. That's for in our lives, to lead our lives. We're not talking so much now about leaders or leadership. We're talking about leading our own lives in a correct direction, in doing something that's important and being able to consistently and without interruption go forward in progress. So that's what we want to do. We want to go for it. And there's different ways people have talked about before, different sayings which begin to make a framework for us so we can catch the meaning and the understanding. One of those phrases is, you can't give what you don't have. And that's so true. If we don't have it ourselves, you can't something to understand. If we want the outward, it always begins with the inward. You can't give what you don't have, or you can't lead where you don't go. So there's other, I've made over the years several different ways of looking at this. One I called the 3D approach. The 3D approach is for our lives. Number one, discover. Discover who you are. Discover what gifts and talents you have inside of you. Number one, discover. Number two, develop. And number three, it's a military word, deploy. That means get going. Put it into action. So discover, develop, and deploy. That's one way of looking at what we need to do. Another way is another 3-point way is, number one, where am I? where Where in the world am I? Where have I ended up? Where am I? Number one. Number two, where am I going? And number three, how will I get there? Another way of looking at it. Another 3-point way is plans for our life. First, we must do number one, an assessment to really understand what is our current situation. And number two, ambition. So assessment, number one. Number two, ambition. Where do you want to go? What's your destination? What's your purpose? What's your why? And number three, advancement. How will I get there? So number one, assessment of our own life. Number two, ambition. What's our destination, our purpose, our why? Number three, advancement. So these are just a few ways we have of framing what we're doing, what the purpose of this is. So we want to welcome you to this 10-session plan. You know, they always say if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And one last one, and that is, it's better to aim at something. It's better to aim at something and miss it than to aim at nothing and hit it. It's better to aim at something and miss it than to aim at nothing and hit it. So welcome again. We're glad that you're here, and we're looking forward to walking beside you in this journey where we take leadership for our lives in other sessions in the future, in other seminars. What would you call them? In other sequences. We can be looking at how to do this with a group of people, with a team of people, with your staff, when dealing with collective, not just individual. Right now, we're dealing with individual, personal. This is a personal plan. This is a personal journey for change, but even higher than change is something we'll see is called growth. Growth. So we're looking forward to this journey together. Life's a journey, right? The path of the just is as a shining light. It doesn't shine all at once. It shines more and more, little by little, line upon line, until the completion. So we'll have a guide for you. It's something a lot of people with great potential miss, to have a guide. So we'll have a guide that you can download. So everyone needs to embrace. Everybody. I'm telling you, because we all, what's the word? We all forget. We all miss it, bypasses us. It just goes right over the top of our head that we can do better, so much better, if we have a personal plan for growth to really become, this is the desire of all of our hearts, to become all that we have been created to be. This is the desire of, probably should be or is, of every living person on the face of the earth. And so this is why we've got to seek and search for the answer and the way to do this. How Christ has shown us what the steps are. What do you think the parable of the talents was all about? It It was all about specifically, practically doing something with what God has given to you, not just letting it sit there, not just protecting it, not just letting chance take place. So we want to create growth in what? Personally in your lives. If you have a team or a group of people, your family, your business, your community, or anywhere else that's outside of yourself, because what happens in you will be a blessing to that which is outside of you. Everything you want out of life will come through your willingness to grow, not just to take life as a chance happens by chance, but a willingness to purposefully grow. That's because you can't give what you don't have, remember, and you can't lead your life or anyone else where you don't go. So each section that we'll be looking at will be an exploration of a different facet of growth of this plan, complete with in-depth topics, reflection time, and work or task, simple task that will orient you in the right direction. So the next 10 sessions or the next 30 days, however you choose to do this program, will really transform your approach to your daily life. Not only just the big picture, but our daily lives. We'll have a daily plan. You know, it's like the jet airliners and the navigation system. You know how the navigation system works? It's a computer based, and you set, first of all, the destination, right? So you set the destination, and then what happens after takeoff is that the computer begins to go off, say, let's say, example, to the right just a little bit. And what happens is the computer navigation system then corrects you from when you start to go off to the right a little bit and brings you back into line. And then maybe you begin to go off a little bit to the left. But the computer navigation system, that's our personal plan, growth plan, begins to bring you back directly in line with your destination. And this process takes place over and over again. If you were flying from San Francisco to Hong Kong, this would happen over and over again, this navigational correction. This is part of the process. So the next 10 sessions or the next 30 days will really transform your daily life. So if we take this plan seriously. So one of the first keys that we'll learn about is being intentional. We have to be intentional. And if we are, we'll see incredible results. So this guide that we'll be looking at together is designed for you to take this personal, not your team yet, not your family, not your those outside of you, but everything starts, everything begins with you, personal, you the person. This personal growth journey alone, or you can take it together with a friend or a group. It's up to you. There's reflections and discussion guides throughout for both personal and group study. But the main focus will be you. How I wish in my life someone sat down with me and said, let's focus on you. What are your dreams? What are your hopes? What are your feelings? What do you have inside of you that you want to bring out? What do you want to contribute in your life to this world? And if somebody sat down with me and said, let's do that, I would be so thankful. And I think that this is the case with most people in the world, that no one has taken a personal interest in their feelings and their callings, in their destiny, whatever you want to call it. So as we jump right in with two key questions that you need to consider. So two key questions you need to consider. What, and this begins this inner assessment that we talked about. This inner assessment first has to happen. And one of the ways to say that is, what keeps you from being authentic, of really sharing your feelings, your hopes, your dreams, your problems, your pluses and your minuses, from being, what keeps you from being really open, really authentic with others? And in this time, this session, we can be authentic. We can open up. We can work together to see change happen in our lives. So number two question, what barriers? So this is how we take care, how we begin to see how we can be more authentic. What barriers to authenticity do you struggle with? Is it some beliefs, some way of thinking, some way that someone taught you or told you this is the way things should be? Maybe some fears, maybe some experiences from the past. What barriers to being open and authentic and sharing your heart? What barriers, what to authenticity do you struggle with? This is a beautiful time of bringing out into the open how we really want to change, and we're serious about change. So answering these questions lets you know if you're being honest enough with yourself to take this journey. It also tells you where your growth is going to be most important and most challenging throughout this process. So take some time to reflect and write down your answers. Then, if you're feeling bold and really want to ensure accountability, which is a word that's happening all over in every organization and corporation and system in our world today, we're learning that it doesn't work without accountability. So if you're really feeling bold and really want to ensure accountability, one of the things that you do is you begin to make your feelings public. You can do that here or on social media, or text your thoughts to a friend or a mentor. So this is one way of saying to yourself, by making it public, I'm serious about this. So keep in mind that a shared commitment becomes a strong commitment. So once you've taken that first step, it's time for us to jump in. So I hope you've enjoyed this first introduction to our time together and our plan, our study. And we pray that you will begin the journey with us together, because it takes a village. It takes a group of like-minded people. And that's one of our goals, is to find a group of like-minded people to encourage you. The Lord knows this whole world needs encouragement so much. One of the most beautiful things that in your life you could ever hope to do is to be an encourager, something this world desperately needs. So as we do it first inside of our own hearts, lives, and minds, we'll then be able to help others to be encouraged and to be all that God has created them to be. Thank you again. See you in the next session. Bye.